for the English County Council elections, I'll bet you to a standard that no other party for local elections ever has done. That is happening. We're forming branches up and down the country, hugely. Hugely. I mean, don't forget, I've been out of the picture for a couple of years. Reform was a very, very small party. Full credit to Richard Tice for keeping it going. I brought in an entrepreneurial chairman in the shape of Zia Youssef to set the thing on the right footing.
Brexit betrayed, media trust eroded, a nation divided. These aren't just headlines. They're the battlegrounds of modern British politics. And in one explosive Sky News interview, they all collide. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now back to the video. As Nigel Farage faces off against Beth Rigby, it becomes clear that this is more than just a war of words. It's a fight for Britain's soul. But who's really winning? And more importantly, what does it mean for you? The Tories have betrayed Brexit. These words from Nigel Farage cut through the political noise, striking at the heart of a growing discontent.
And I want to ask you about James McMurdoch, the Reform MP for South Basildon and East Thurrock. He was jailed in 2006 for assaulting his girlfriend. And Nigel Farage, you talk about cleaning up reform as a big part of what you're doing. You've just explained that.
I've now got a professional in to help us raise money. We are going places. In fact, I'll go further. I genuinely think we're at that moment.
But is this just another provocative statement? Or does it reveal a deeper truth about the state of British politics? Let's rewind to the Brexit campaign. Promises of tighter immigration control were plastered across buses and billboards, with the Conservative Party pledging to reduce net migration to a mere 50,000 per year. It was a cornerstone of the Leave campaign, a vision of a Britain that would take back control of its borders. Fast forward to today, and the reality is starkly different. As of December 2022, net migration to the UK has soared to a staggering 606,000. This isn't just missing the target, it's overshooting it by more than 12 times. How did we get here? And more importantly, how has this massive discrepancy affected public trust in the government? Farage doesn't mince words when it comes to the Conservative Party's handling of immigration post-Brexit. He claims he would have reduced net migration to around 30,000, a mere 5% of its current level. It's a bold statement, but one that resonates with those who feel let down by unfulfilled promises. The reasons behind this continued high immigration are complex. The current system allows for skilled worker visas with what Farage describes as a minimum wage salary requirement. In reality, this translates to a minimum of $26,200 per year or $10.75 per hour. Is this threshold too low, effectively opening the floodgates to mass immigration? Farage argues that the UK managed without mass immigration before 2004. He paints a picture of a time when elderly people were not being left alone in old people's homes, and the country wasn't addicted to cheap, unskilled, foreign imported labor. But is this rose-tinted nostalgia, or a genuine alternative to the current system? As we dig deeper into Farage's critique, one statistic stands out. He reveals that the Conservative government has allowed students to bring in dependents on educational visas. It's a policy he vehemently opposes, seeing it as another betrayal of Brexit supporters. So, what does this mean for British society? As we transition to examining the impact of high immigration, we're left with pressing questions. Has the promise of controlled borders been sacrificed on the altar of economic expediency? And if so, at what cost to public trust and social cohesion? Imagine a Britain where cabbages rot in fields and care homes struggle to find staff. This isn't a dystopian fiction. It's the potential reality Nigel Farage is willing to accept in his crusade against immigration. But is this vision of a low-immigration UK a necessary sacrifice or a dangerous gamble? Farage's statement that he would, of course, accept worker shortages if it meant lower migration has sent shockwaves through political circles. It's a stance that flies in the face of current economic realities. Today's UK relies heavily on immigrant workers in key sectors like agriculture and healthcare. The National Health Service, in particular, has become dependent on foreign talent to fill crucial roles. But Farage isn't swayed by these arguments. He points to pre-2004 Britain as proof that the country can function without mass immigration. Cabbages were not rotting in the fields of Lincolnshire, he asserts, painting a picture of a self-sufficient nation. It's a compelling image, but one that economists warn could come at a steep price. Experts predict that drastically reducing immigration could lead to significant labor shortages across multiple industries. This isn't just about a lack of farmhands or care workers. It's about increased costs for businesses, potential declines in service quality, and a ripple effect throughout the economy. Are British citizens prepared for higher prices and longer wait times as a trade-off for reduced immigration? Farage's vision of a low-immigration Britain isn't just about numbers. He argues that the UK has become addicted to cheap, unskilled, foreign, imported labor. It's a provocative claim that touches on deeper issues of economic dependency and societal change. But is turning back the clock to pre-2004 policies a realistic solution in today's globalized world? The current skilled worker visa system is a particular target of Farage's criticism. He argues that the salary requirement, set at £26,200 per year or $10.75 per hour, is far too low. In his view, this isn't attracting skilled labor, but instead opening the floodgates to mass immigration. It's a critique that raises important questions about the balance between economic needs and immigration control. As we consider Farage's controversial stance, larger political implications loom. His willingness to accept economic pain for immigration control represents a radical shift in priorities. It challenges the consensus that economic growth should be the primary driver of policy. But at what cost? And are British voters ready to embrace such a fundamental change in their country's direction? As we reflect on the chasm between Brexit's promises and today's immigration reality, one thing becomes clear. The UK stands at a crossroads. Nigel Farage's stark vision of a low-immigration Britain, even at the cost of economic pain, represents a radical departure from the status quo. It's a stance that challenges our assumptions about growth, prosperity, and national identity. But is Britain ready for such a seismic shift? Farage's willingness to accept worker shortages in pursuit of tighter borders raises uncomfortable questions. Are we prepared to pay more for our groceries, wait longer for medical care, or see certain industries struggle? And what about the cultural impact? As we grapple with these issues, the future of Britain's immigration policy hangs in the balance. The choices we make now will shape the UK for generations to come. Will we prioritize economic pragmatism or a more restrictive immigration policy? And crucially, are we ready to face the consequences of either path?